The warning came at 600 hours on a Tuesday morning. Deep Space Monitoring Station Watchdog 7 detected them first. Massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of the solar system. Thousands of them. Lieutenant Taemin was drinking his third coffee of the night shift when the alarm started screaming. His hands shook as he stared at the screen. The numbers made no sense. 9,700 contacts. All moving toward Earth. Get Admiral Hana on the line, he said to his communications officer. His voice was steady, but his heart hammered in his chest. Tell her we have a situation. 30 minutes later, every screen on Earth showed the same thing. Ships. Alien ships. More ships than humanity had ever built in its entire history. They moved in perfect formation, blocking out the stars behind them. Admiral Hana stood in the command center deep below Geneva. She was a small woman with iron gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations, their faces pale with fear. Size estimate? She asked. The smallest ones are twice the size of our destroyers, replied Commander Jinsu. The largest are... He paused, checking his numbers again. Ma'am, the largest are 10 kilometers long. Hana felt something cold settle in her stomach. Earth's biggest warship, the UESS Indomitable, was barely 2 kilometers long, and they only had one of those. How many combat-ready vessels do we have? She asked, though she already knew the answer. 300, ma'am, give or take. 300 against 9,700. Hana had fought in the Mars Rebellion. She had commanded fleets in training exercises against impossible odds. But this was different. This was real, and the numbers were not in their favor. A transmission came through. The alien voice was translated by computer, cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth. We are the Vakresh Empire. We have observed your world for many cycles. You will surrender control of your planet within 72 hours. Resistance will result in total extinction. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. President Kiwu appeared on the main screen. He was a tall man in his 60s, elected just 2 years ago on promises of peace and prosperity. Now he faced the end of everything. Admiral Hana, he said quietly. What are our options? Hana looked at the display showing the alien fleet. They were moving slowly, confidently. They had all the time in the world. We fight, she said simply. We don't have enough ships to win. We don't have weapons that can match theirs. But we fight anyway, and if we lose, then we lose fighting. But maybe we make them remember us. Maybe we make them pay for every meter of space they take. The president was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Do what you need to do, Admiral. Earth is counting on you. Captain Dae-jung received his orders aboard the Indomitable. He was 42 years old with a calm face that rarely showed emotion, but his crew knew him well enough to see the tension in his shoulders as he read the message. All hands to battle stations, he announced over the ship's intercom. This is not a drill. We have hostile contacts entering the solar system. Prepare for combat operations. Around him, his bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Weapon systems came online. Shields powered up. The massive dreadnought hummed with energy as its fusion reactors pushed to maximum output. Sir, said his tactical officer, a young woman named Sung-hee, we're receiving deployment orders. We're to take position near Luna with the 3rd Fleet. Dae-jung nodded. 50 ships. They were sending 50 ships to face thousands. It was suicide. But orders were orders. Set course for Luna, he said, and send a message to the fleet. Tell them the Indomitable will be proud to fight beside them. In Geneva, Dr. Baum worked in her laboratory 3 levels below the military command center. She was a physicist, not a soldier. Her research focused on quantum mechanics and theoretical weapons. Weapons that the military had deemed too dangerous to build. Her phone rang. It was Admiral Hana. Doctor, I'm sending you full authorization codes. Whatever projects you've been working on, whatever theories you've tested, I need them operational in 72 hours. Admiral, you don't understand. These weapons are unstable. The quantum disruption bombs could tear holes in space-time. The temporal acceleration fields could age everything in their radius by centuries. We've never tested them outside of computer simulations. Will they kill aliens? Dr. Baum hesitated. Probably. But they might also kill us and then make sure they kill the aliens first. We're out of options, Doctor. The line went dead. Dr. Baum stared at her research notes. Equations that could reshape reality. Theories that violated every safety protocol ever written. She had spent years arguing against building these weapons. Now she had 3 days to make them work. Across Earth, the response was chaos and determination in equal measure. Military bases activated their reserves. Civilian ships were commandeered and fitted with whatever weapons could be mounted. Factories that made consumer goods retooled to produce ammunition and armor plating. In the underground cities of Mars, 2 billion people watched the news feeds with growing fear. The alien fleet would pass Mars on their way to Earth. Everyone knew what that meant. Governor Hyunwoo addressed the Martian population from his office in New Seoul. "We are not helpless," he said, though his voice shook. "We have defenses. We have shelters. And we have Earth's fleet coming to support us." But everyone watching knew the truth. Mars would burn first. On Earth, families gathered together. Some prayed. Some prepared to flee to the countryside. Though there was nowhere to hide from ships that could attack from orbit, others simply held their loved ones and waited. Taemin's younger sister called him from Seoul. "Appa," she said, using the Korean word for older brother. "Are we going to die?" He wanted to lie to her. Tell her everything would be fine. But she was 19 years old enough for the truth. "I don't know," he said. "But Earth's fleet is going to fight, and we're not giving up. Not today. Not ever." The Vakresh fleet continued its slow advance. They had conquered 847 worlds before Earth. They had fought wars lasting centuries. They had weapons that could crack planets and shields that had never been breached. They looked at Earth's tiny fleet of 300 ships and saw nothing worth worrying about. This would be over in days. Another easy conquest. Another primitive world added to their empire. Fleet Commander Thulvar sat in his command throne aboard the flagship Domination. He was a decorated warrior, veteran of 23 successful invasions. He looked at the tactical display showing Earth's pathetic defenses and felt nothing but contempt. "They plan to resist," his second officer reported. "Intelligence shows they are mobilizing their military forces." Thulvar laughed. "Let them. It will make the conquest more interesting." "How long since we faced actual combat?" 17 cycles, Commander. Too long. Our warriors grow soft. Perhaps these humans will provide some entertainment before they die. He did not know that he had just made the worst mistake of his life. He had looked at humanity and seen weakness. He had counted their ships and assumed victory. He had judged them by their technology and found them wanting. What he failed to understand was something that every human learned from birth. Humans did not survive because they were the strongest or the fastest or the smartest. They survived because when death came for them, they fought back with everything they had. And now death was coming for Earth. But Earth was not going to die quietly. The 72 hours began to count down. The first shot was fired 60 hours into the countdown. A Vakresh destroyer encountered a mining station near Neptune. The station had 37 people aboard, men and women who extracted ice and minerals from the frozen moons. The Vakresh destroyer fired once. The mining station became a cloud of debris and frozen bodies. Earth received the news 18 minutes later, when the station's emergency beacon stopped transmitting. Admiral Hana closed her eyes for just a moment. 37 lives, the first casualties of a war that would claim millions. "Send the order," she said quietly. "All civilian stations are to evacuate immediately. Get every ship, every shuttle, every piece of hardware that can move toward the inner system." But there was not enough time. The Vakresh fleet moved faster now, no longer bothering with slow intimidation. They swept through the outer system like wolves among sheep. Stations exploded. Colony ships died trying to flee. Asteroid mining platforms were vaporized without warning. Captain Dae-jung watched the tactical display from the bridge of the Indomitable. Red icons blinked out one by one as the enemy advanced. Each red icon represented lives. "People he had sworn to protect, sir," said Sung-hee. "Enemy fleet is splitting up. Main force continuing toward Mars. Approximately 2,000 ships breaking off toward the asteroid belt." "They are clearing the board," Dae-jung said quietly, "making sure nothing is left behind them. No bases to resupply from, no places to hide." Lieutenant Taemin stood at his station, his hands gripping the console so hard his knuckles turned white. "Sir, we have to do something. We can't just watch them kill everyone." "We will, Lieutenant, but not yet. Admiral Hana has a plan and we follow it. Even when it hurts, the plan was simple and terrible. Let the Vakresh come. Let them push deep into the solar system. Let them spread out and grow confident. and then strike where it hurt most. The Battle of Luna began 3 days after the first contact. The Vakresh main fleet approached Earth's moon with 5,000 ships. They expected no real resistance. They were wrong. Dae-jung led 50 ships out from behind Luna's far side. They emerged from the moon's shadow with weapons already firing. Missiles screamed across the void. Railgun slugs traveling at significant fractions of light speed slammed into Vakresh shields. The alien shields held. Barely a ripple. "Shields are too strong," reported Sung-hee. "Conventional weapons are not penetrating." "Keep firing," Dae-jung ordered. "Make them think that is all we have." The Vakresh responded with overwhelming firepower. Their weapons were energy-based, bright lances of contained plasma that cut through Earth ships like paper. The destroyer Defiant exploded in the first volley. The cruiser Valor lost its entire forward section. "Casualties mounting," called out the communications officer. "Defiant is gone." "Valor is venting atmosphere. Guardian is reporting critical damage." Dae-jung watched his fleet die. Every instinct screamed at him to retreat, to save what he could. But the plan required sacrifice. Taemin studied his sensors, watching the Vakresh formation. He had spent 3 days analyzing every piece of data they had on the aliens. Their tactics, their movements, their responses to threats. "Sir," he said suddenly, "I see it. They maintain formation even under fire. Look at grid sections 7 through 12. They move as one unit, responding identically to threats." Dae-jung looked at the display. Taemin was right. The Vakresh fought like a machine. Perfect coordination. Perfect responses. Perfect and predictable. They have fought too many easy battles, Dae-jung realized. They follow doctrine even when doctrine fails them. Tactical prepare option Gamma. Sung-hee looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, Gamma requires us to look defeated, to look like we are running. Then we will give them what they expect. All ships execute damage protocols. Shut down non-essential systems. Drift toward the moon's surface. Make it look like we are finished." 20 ships went dark. They tumbled through space, leaking atmosphere and debris, looking like wrecks barely holding together. The Vakresh moved in for the kill. Hidden in the debris field of destroyed orbital platforms, 30 more Earth ships waited. They had shut down everything except life support. No energy signature, no heat. Nothing that would show on sensors. The Vakresh formation shifted, moving to destroy the crippled Earth vessels. They broke their perfect formation just slightly. Just enough. "Now," Dae-jung said quietly. 30 ships came alive at once. They did not fire at the Vakresh hulls or shields. They fired at sensor arrays, communication pods, the small vulnerable points that every ship needed to function. Missiles found their targets. Railgun slugs tore through delicate equipment. Across hundreds of Vakresh ships, sensors went dark. Communications died. "They are blind," Taemin reported with fierce joy. "Sections of their fleet cannot coordinate." The crippled Earth ships came back to full power. Now the odds were better. Not good, but better. Earth's fleet knew how to fight when information was confused. They had trained for it. The Vakresh had not. What followed was chaos. Earth ships darted through the confused alien formations. They fired at the blind ships, at the isolated ships, at any target that presented itself. The Vakresh tried to regroup, but their doctrine required communication and coordination. Without it, they floundered, but numbers still mattered. The Vakresh had thousands of ships. Earth had 50. One by one, Earth's vessels fell. The cruiser Steadfast rammed a Vakresh battleship at full speed when its weapons failed. Both ships died in a flash of fusion fire. The destroyer Swift fought until its ammunition ran out, then continued fighting with mining lasers in desperation. Dae-jung's Indomitable took hit after hit. Armor plating vaporized. Crew sections opened to vacuum. But the massive dreadnought kept fighting. "Hull breach on deck 7 through 10, reported the damage control officer. "Casualties are heavy. Portside weapons offline. Keep firing starboard weapons," Dae-jung ordered, "and bring us about. If they want to kill us, make them work for it." The battle lasted 8 hours. When it finally ended, 40 of Earth's 50 ships were gone. The Indomitable survived, but just barely. Half its crew was dead. Its weapons were mostly destroyed. It limped away from Luna on emergency power, but the Vakresh had paid. 134 ships destroyed. Hundreds more damaged. The debris field around Luna would serve as a graveyard for both sides. Fleet Commander Thulvar stared at the casualty reports in disbelief. 134 ships. He had lost more ships in one battle than in his previous 10 campaigns combined. How? He demanded. They are primitives. They have inferior technology. How did they do this? His tactical officer was pale. They did not fight with honor, Commander. They hid in debris. They faked damage. They targeted our sensors instead of engaging properly. They cheated, another officer added with disgust. But Thulvar was beginning to understand. These humans did not care about honor. They cared about survival, and that made them dangerous. Send a message to the Council, he said slowly. Request additional support. These humans are not what we expected. On Earth, Admiral Hana received the battle reports. She had lost 40 ships, thousands of good people, but she allowed herself a small, grim smile. We made them bleed, she said to her staff. They thought this would be easy. Now they know different. President Kiwu addressed Earth that night. His face was drawn with grief, but his voice was steady. Today we lost brave men and women defending Luna. Their sacrifice was not in vain. The aliens came expecting easy prey. Instead, they found Earth's defenders. They expected us to break. Instead, we made them break. This war is not over. But today we proved that humanity will not go quietly into death. In her laboratory, Dr. Baum worked without sleeping. Her team had managed to construct 5 quantum disruption bombs. They were unstable. They were dangerous. They might kill everyone who used them, but they might also kill aliens. And right now, that was all that mattered. She looked at the devices with exhausted eyes. These will change everything, she said to her assistant. For better or worse. The Vakresh fleet regrouped beyond Luna. They had planned to reach Earth within a week. Now they hesitated. They repaired their damaged ships. They studied the battle data, trying to understand what had gone wrong, and humanity used that time to prepare. To build more weapons, to ready more ships, to dig in for the long fight ahead. The war was just beginning. Dr. Baum stood in the testing chamber deep beneath Geneva. Before her, suspended in magnetic fields, hung the first operational quantum disruption bomb. It looked simple. A sphere about 2 meters across covered in cooling systems and quantum stabilizers. Inside that sphere was something that should not exist. Are we sure about this? Asked her assistant, a young physicist named Minho. No, Baum said honestly. The simulations say it will work. But simulations also said fusion power was impossible 50 years ago. We are about to weaponize time itself. That sounds terrifying when you say it that way. It should terrify us, but not as much as those aliens terrify us. The test target was a decommissioned freighter, anchored in space 1,000 kilometers above the test site. It was old and empty, but its hull was the same material the Vakresh used. Intelligence from the captured debris had given them that much. Beginning test in 10 seconds, announced the test director. All personnel to safe positions. The bomb launched on a simple rocket. It climbed into the sky, through the atmosphere, into the darkness of space. Cameras tracked it all the way. The detonation was not like a normal explosion. There was no fire, no blast wave. Instead, reality seemed to twist around the target ship. The metal hull began to age. Rust spread across its surface in seconds. Components failed. Systems that had worked for decades suddenly broke down as if they had run for centuries. In 30 seconds, the freighter was a wreck. In 60 seconds, it was barely holding together. At 90 seconds, parts of it simply crumbled into dust. It works, whispered Minho. Baum was already calculating. We can build 20 more in 5 days. 50 more in 2 weeks. Admiral Hana, we have your weapons. The Vakresh made their move on Mars 10 days after the Battle of Luna. Fleet Commander Thulvar was angry and humiliated. The Council had refused his request for reinforcements. They said he had more than enough ships to handle primitives, so he would prove them right. He would crush Mars so thoroughly that Earth would see and surrender. 3,000 Vakresh ships moved toward the Red Planet. Mars had underground cities where 2 billion humans lived in tunnels and domed habitats. It had orbital defenses, but not enough. Never enough. Captain Daejung took what remained of his fleet to meet them. The Indomitable was barely repaired. He had 80 ships now, not 50. Admiral Hana had scraped together every vessel that could fly. Civilian freighters with missiles strapped to their hulls. Ancient warships pulled from museums and made space-worthy again. Police patrol boats upgraded with military weapons. It was a desperate fleet. But it was a fleet that knew how to fight. They outnumber us 37-1, observed Sung Hee. She had been promoted to first officer after the previous one died at Luna. Then we will have to be 37 times smarter, Dae-jung replied. Load the quantum weapons, and send a message to Commander Myong. Tell him his engineering team is about to earn their pay. Commander Myong was not a combat officer. He was an engineer, a man who understood machines better than people. But he understood war well enough. He had seen what the Vakresh did to civilian stations. My team is ready, Captain, he reported. We have installed the quantum bombs on 30 ships. 1 bomb per ship. We will make each shot count. The battle began in the asteroid belt around Mars. Dae-jung did not meet the Vakresh fleet head-on. That would be suicide. Instead, his ships scattered among the tumbling rocks and debris that orbited the red planet. The Vakresh pursued, confident in their numbers. They had learned from Luna to be cautious, but they were still certain of victory. Dae-jung's first trap was simple. 10 freighters seemingly running away, engines flaring bright. The Vakresh moved to intercept, to destroy these fleeing vessels before they could escape. The freighters exploded, not from battle damage but from deliberate self-destruction. Each ship was packed with fusion warheads and industrial explosives. The blast caught 24 Vakresh ships, destroying some, damaging others. First blood, said Taemin quietly from his station. He had transferred to the Indomitable after the Battle of Luna. He had earned his place through skill and survival. The Vakresh regrouped and pushed forward more carefully. But Mars' orbit was full of surprises. Mining drones reprogrammed as missiles, cargo containers hiding attack craft, automated railgun platforms built into asteroids. And then came the quantum weapons. A Vakresh formation moved through a debris field, shields at maximum, sensors sweeping for threats. They never saw the small fighter that darted from cover, dropped its payload and vanished. The quantum bomb detonated in the center of their formation. 20 ships aged centuries and seconds. Hull plating corroded. Power systems failed. Life support broke down. The ships became tombs drifting in space. Target destroyed, reported the fighter pilot, a woman named Dae-won. Her voice shook. She had just killed thousands of aliens with a single weapon. Returning to base. Negative, Dae-jung ordered. All fighters continue hit-and-run attacks. Do not give them time to adapt. The battle raged for 2 days. Earth's ships struck and vanished. They used the terrain, the debris, every advantage they could find. Pilot Sung-ho led a squadron that destroyed a Vakresh supply ship, cutting off fuel and ammunition for hundreds of enemy vessels. Commander Myong's engineering team performed a miracle. They captured a damaged Vakresh cruiser, killed its crew in close combat and brought it back online. Within hours they had cracked its computer systems. We have their communication protocols, Myong reported with fierce satisfaction. We can listen to everything they say. And Admiral, we found something else. Their FTL network. They use relay stations to communicate across star systems. If we destroy those relays, they cannot call for help. Admiral Hana smiled when she heard that. It was not a kind smile. Find me those relay stations, Commander. Every single one in range. Fleet Commander Thulvar watched his fleet slowly die. Not from overwhelming force. Not from superior technology. From cunning and desperation and humans who refuse to fight fair. They attack from hiding, complained his tactical officer. They use asteroids as weapons. They fill space with explosives and traps. This is not honorable warfare. Honor will not save us if we lose, Thulvar said coldly. He had begun to hate these humans. Hate them for being clever. Hate them for making him look like a fool. Launch full offensive. All ships. Crush them with numbers alone. The Vakresh charged forward as one massive fleet. 3,000 ships moving together, shields overlapping, creating a wall of firepower that nothing should survive. Dae-jung saw them coming. Fall back, he ordered. Lead them deeper into the debris field. His fleet retreated, firing as they went. The Vakresh pursued, confident that victory was finally at hand. They did not see the trap until it was too late. Hundreds of quantum bombs planted throughout the debris field, all detonating at once. The Vakresh fleet flew directly into a zone where time itself became a weapon. Ships aged and died. Entire squadrons vanished as decades of wear happened in seconds. The perfect formation became chaos as vessels lost power, lost weapons, lost everything. Now, Dae-jung shouted, all ships, full offensive! Earth's fleet struck from every direction. Damaged Vakresh ships could not coordinate their defense. Their shields flickered and failed. For the first time, human weapons penetrated alien armor. Colonel Yejin led Marine forces in boarding actions. They captured ships from the inside, fighting room by room in brutal close combat. The Vakresh were shocked to find that humans could fight hand-to-hand as fiercely as they fought in space. The Battle of Mars lasted 6 days. When it ended, Earth's fleet was down to 43 ships. The Indomitable had been hit so many times it was more damage than ship, but the Vakresh had lost 1,200 vessels. Thulvar retreated with what remained of his fleet. His pride shattered, his confidence broken. On Mars, Governor Hyunwoo addressed his people from his office in New Seoul. Behind him, through the window, fires burned on the surface where orbital strikes had hit. But the cities remained intact. The people had survived. We are bloodied, he said, but we are not broken. Earth's fleet saved us. Human courage saved us, and we will rebuild. Dr. Baum watched the battle reports with exhausted satisfaction. Her weapons had worked. 58 quantum bombs deployed. 58 successful detonations. Over 400 enemy ships destroyed or disabled. We need more, she told her team. Build them faster. Make them smaller. We are winning, but the war is not over. Taemin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the tactical display. The Vakresh fleet was retreating toward the outer system. They had started with 9,700 ships. Now they had around 8,300. We hurt them, he said to Sung-hee. We did more than hurt them, she replied. We scared them. Look at their formation. They are not advancing anymore. They are defending. They are afraid. Captain Dae-jung heard them and nodded. Fear is good. Fear makes them cautious. Cautious enemies make mistakes, and when they make mistakes, we will be there. Fleet Commander Thulvar sent a message to the Vakresh Council. He told them everything. The losses, the setbacks, the humans who fought like demons. The Council's response was cold. You have 8,000 ships remaining. That is more than enough to conquer one primitive world. Finish the job, Commander, or accept the consequences of failure. Admiral Hana stood before the holographic display in the command center. Around her, every senior officer in Earth's military had gathered. Some were present in person. Others appeared as projections from bases across the solar system. All of them looked tired. The war had been going on for 37 days. We have hurt them, Hana said, her voice cutting through the quiet room. We have proven that humans can fight. But we are running out of time and resources. Our fleet is down to 197 combat-capable ships. They still have over 8,000. What are you proposing, Admiral? Asked General Bora from the Mars Defense Command. Hana touched the display. It zoomed in on the Vakresh fleet, now holding position near Jupiter's orbit. They were repairing their ships, regrouping, preparing for a final assault on Earth. We do not wait for them to come to us, Hana said. We attack. All our ships. Everything we have. We strike at their command center and cut off their ability to coordinate. The room erupted in protest. Captain Dae-jung held up a hand for silence. Admiral, that is a suicide mission. We would have to fight through their entire fleet to reach their command ships. Yes, Hana agreed calmly. It is suicide. But if we do nothing, they will eventually overwhelm us. Our only chance is to make them unable to fight as one fleet. Cut off the head and the body dies. President Kiwoo's image appeared on the screen. He looked older than he had a month ago. The war had aged him. Admiral Hana, you are asking our people to sacrifice themselves. I am asking them to die fighting instead of waiting, Hana replied. Mr. President, I have studied the Vakresh for weeks. They are good soldiers. They follow orders. But they are not good at thinking for themselves. If we kill their commanders, break their communication network, they will not know what to do. Silence fell. Everyone knew she was right. But the cost would be terrible. Dae-jung spoke first. The Indomitable will lead the attack. We have survived this long. We will see it through to the end. One by one, other captains agreed. They all knew what they were agreeing to. But they also knew that Earth needed this. One final desperate gamble. Operation Prometheus, Hana named it. We bring fire to the gods. All ships are to prepare for departure in 24 hours. Dr. Baum was brought into the planning. She listened to the strategy and shook her head. You need more than quantum bombs. You need something that will disable their entire fleet at once. Do you have such a weapon? Hana asked. Maybe. The planet-side quantum array. I have been building it in secret. It is a massive version of the bombs. It creates a disruption field across thousands of kilometers of space. but it has never been tested. It might work perfectly. It might tear a hole in reality. I simply do not know. Will it hurt the Vakresh? If it works, yes, their ships will be dead in space. Shields down, weapons offline. Everything dependent on complex systems will fail. Hana did not hesitate. Build it. Make it operational in 24 hours. Across Earth, word spread. The fleet was going out. All of it, every ship. This was the final battle. People gathered in cities to watch. Families said goodbye to loved ones serving aboard warships. Children asked questions that parents could not answer. Taemin sent a message to his sister in Seoul. If I do not come back, know that I fought for you. For Earth, tell Mom and Dad I love them. She wrote back immediately. You will come back. You have to. You promised to take me to see the Mars colonies when this is over. He smiled at that, a promise he probably could not keep. But promises were important even at the end. Commander Mayong worked with his engineering team around the clock. They had captured enough Vakresh technology to understand their systems. Now they built something new, a computer virus, something that would spread through the alien communication network and cause chaos. It will take time to propagate, Myung explained to Daijung. But once it reaches their command ships, it will start deleting navigation data, making their weapons targeting fail. Small things. But small things add up in battle. How do we deliver it? Daejung asked. We capture one of their ships. Connect to their network. Release the virus. Then we pray it works. The fleet assembled near Luna's orbit. 197 ships. Some were military dreadnoughts and cruisers. Others were converted civilian vessels, hastily armed and barely armored. All of them were damaged from previous battles. All of them should have been in repair docks. But there was no time for repairs. No time for anything except one final attack. Captain Daejung addressed his crew over the Indomitable's intercom. We have fought together for over a month. We have seen friends die. Ships destroyed. But we are still here. Still fighting. Today we do not fight for victory. We fight so Earth can have a chance. We fight so our families can live. That is enough. That is everything. The crew responded with quiet determination. They knew the odds. They knew most of them would not survive. But they also knew they were doing something that mattered. Fleet Commander Thulvar received reports of human ship movements with satisfaction. They are gathering their fleet. Finally, they will face us in open battle. This is good. We will crush them all at once. His officers agreed. The humans had been clever, fighting from hiding using tricks and traps. But in open battle, numbers would decide everything. And the Vakresh had numbers. All ships to combat positions, Thulvar ordered. We end this today. The two fleets met in the space between Jupiter and Mars. The Vakresh formed a massive wall, 8,000 ships strong. Earth's fleet looked tiny in comparison. A handful of vessels against an armada. All ships, Daejung broadcast. Shields to maximum. Weapons free. For Earth, for Earth! The response came back from nearly 200 ships. They charged forward. The Vakresh opened fire. Energy weapons lit up the void. Missiles streaked through space. The first human ships died within seconds. The destroyer Hope exploded. The cruiser Defiance lost its engines, but Earth's fleet did not slow down. They flew straight at the enemy, weapons blazing. Quantum bombs detonated among the Vakresh formations. Ships aged and died. Explosions rippled through the alien fleet. Lieutenant Sung Ho led his fighter squadron on a suicide run against a Vakresh battleship. His fighters were old. Their weapons were weak. But they were fast and their pilots were desperate. They flew directly into the battleship's engine ports. The explosions were tiny compared to the massive ship. But they were enough. The battleship's engines failed. It drifted helplessly. Target disabled, Sung Ho reported. Then his transmission cut off as his fighter was destroyed. Colonel Ye Jin's Marines launched in boarding pods toward Vakresh cruisers. Many pods were shot down, but some made it through. The Marines cut their way inside enemy ships, fighting through corridors, killing crew, causing chaos. One team reached a computer core. Commander Mayong's virus was uploaded. It began to spread through the Vakresh network like disease. Virus is active, reported Myong from the Indomitable. Give it 10 minutes, but 10 minutes was an eternity in battle. Ships died every second. The frigate Courage rammed a Vakresh destroyer when its weapons failed. The cruiser Stalwart fought with half its crew dead, and its hull breached in a dozen places. Daejung guided the Indomitable through the chaos. The massive dreadnought was a priority target. Dozens of Vakresh ships focused fire on it. Its shields collapsed. Armor vaporized. Entire decks opened to vacuum. Hull breaches on all levels, reported the damage control officer. Casualties are critical. We have lost weapons grid 3 through 7. Keep firing what we have, Daijung ordered. His bridge was filling with smoke. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, but he remained calm. Bring us about. Target their command cluster. Taemin worked his tactical station even as the ship shook around him. Sir, I am detecting the flagship. The Domination. Range 4,000 kilometers. All remaining weapons target that ship. Everything we have. The Indomitable fired railguns, missiles, quantum bombs, everything. The Vakresh flagship's shields absorbed most of it. But some shots got through. Armor cracked. Systems failed. Fleet Commander Thulvar felt his ship shake. Alarm screamed. What is happening? The humans are targeting us directly. They are ignoring all other ships. They want to kill us, Thulvar understood. Cut off the head. Destroy the command. Classic strategy. But it would not work. He had thousands of ships. The humans had barely 100 left. Then his tactical display started glitching. Numbers changed randomly. Targeting systems failed to lock. Communication with his fleet became garbled. What is this? He demanded. Unknown, Commander. Some kind of computer malfunction. It is spreading through our network. The virus. Byong's creation was doing its job. Not destroying the Vakresh ships, but making them confused. Making them inefficient. Giving the human fleet a chance. Dr. Baum activated the planet-side quantum array. She had never tested it at full power. Had never known if it would work. But there was no time for testing. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The array activated. Energy poured into it. Quantum fields expanded outward, carried by Earth's magnetic field, spreading into space. The effect reached the battle zone. Vakresh shields flickered across thousands of ships. Not failing completely, but weakening. Their weapons lost power. Their sensors became unreliable. It is working, Baum shouted. The quantum field is disrupting their systems. Daejung saw the opportunity immediately. The Battle of Terra lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the space between Earth and Mars was filled with wreckage. Debris from thousands of ships, both human and alien, drifted in the void. Bodies floated among the ruins. The dead of both species frozen in the darkness. Captain Daejung stood on what remained of the Indomitable's bridge. Half the ceiling was gone, open to space. He wore a pressure suit. Most of his crew was dead. But the ship still had power. Still had weapons. Still had purpose. Status report, he said quietly into his helmet radio. Sung-hee's voice came back, weak but alive. We have 37 ships left, sir. Most are barely functional, but we are still here. 37 out of 197. The cost had been terrible, but they had done the impossible. The Vakresh fleet was broken. Their command structure was destroyed. Their coordination was gone. Sir, said Taemin from his damaged station. Enemy ships are retreating. They are running. Daejung looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of Vakresh ships were trying to escape. They had lost their will to fight. They just wanted to survive. How many? He asked. I count 352 ships attempting to withdraw. They are heading toward the outer system. 352 out of 9,700. The Vakresh had lost over 90% of their fleet. It was the greatest military victory in human history, and the most costly. Admiral Hana's voice came over the command channel. She was broadcasting from the Geneva Command Center. All ships, this is Admiral Hana. The enemy is broken, but we cannot let them escape. If they return to their empire and report what happened here, they will come back with everything they have. We must pursue. Daejung understood. It was not about revenge. It was about survival. If the Vakresh Empire learned that Earth could fight back, they would send an overwhelming force. Earth could not survive that. Indomitable will lead the pursuit, he said. All functional ships form on me. The chase began. Earth's 37 damaged warships pursued 352 fleeing Vakresh vessels. It seemed impossible, but the Vakresh were panicked, disorganized. They had never retreated before, did not know how. Commander Mayong worked miracles in engineering. Captain, I have an idea. We captured their communication codes, yes? I can send false orders. Make them think we have reinforcements coming. Make them scatter. Do it, Daejung ordered. False messages spread through the Vakresh fleet. Human reinforcements detected. Fleet command orders immediate dispersal. Every ship for themselves. The Vakresh, already scared and confused, believed the lies. Their formation broke completely. Ships scattered in all directions. They are splitting up, reported Taemin. This is working. All ships break into hunting packs, Daejung ordered. Groups of 3. Run down any enemy vessel you can find. Give them no rest. No time to repair. No time to think. What followed was a running battle that lasted 3 days. Earth ships hunted through the outer solar system, finding and destroying fleeing Vakresh vessels one at a time. Pilot Daewon flew her damaged fighter on emergency power. She had already died twice according to the odds. Her fighter had holes in it. Her life support was failing. But she kept flying. She found a Vakresh cruiser trying to hide behind one of Saturn's moons. It was damaged, shields weak. She made one attack run, fired everything she had, and watched it explode. Target destroyed, she reported. Then her fighter finally gave out. She ejected, drifting in her suit, and waited for rescue. Colonel Yejin's Marines found Vakresh crew abandoning their ships in escape pods. Some Marines wanted to destroy the pods. Yejin stopped them. No, she said firmly. We are not murderers. Tag the pods. We will collect the survivors after this is done. Her Marines looked at her in confusion. After everything the Vakresh had done, she still showed mercy. We fight to survive, Yejin explained. Not to become monsters. Remember that. The Vakresh fled toward the edge of the solar system, hoping to reach the jump points where they could escape to faster-than-light speeds. But Earth's ships were relentless. Every time a Vakresh vessel tried to power up its FTL drive, a human ship appeared and attacked. Dr. Bomb had created one final surprise. Her team had planted quantum bombs on small automated drones. These drones flew ahead of the fleeing Vakresh, creating no jump zones, areas where quantum disruption made FTL travel impossible. The Vakresh were trapped, unable to jump, unable to hide, hunted through the solar system they had come to conquer. By the end of the second day, only 93 Vakresh ships remained. They grouped together near Neptune, making a desperate last stand. Admiral Hana spoke with President Kiwoo. We can finish them. Send our remaining ships. End this completely. How many ships do we have left? Kaiwoo asked. 23 functional warships. The rest are too damaged to continue. And how many crew have we lost? Hana was quiet for a moment. 93,000 confirmed dead. 30,000 missing. Probably dead. Another 40,000 wounded. The numbers were staggering. In just over 40 days, Earth had lost more people than in any previous war. Entire ship crews, families, young people who would never grow old. Let them go, Kiwoo said quietly. Mr. President, we have made our point. We have shown them that humans can fight, that we will not surrender. If we slaughter every last one of them, their empire will see it as an act of barbarism. They will come back for revenge. But if we let some escape, let them carry the story of what happened here. Maybe they will think twice about attacking us again. Hana considered this. The Admiral in her wanted total victory, but the human in her understood. Mercy was not weakness. It was strength. How many do we let go? She asked. Enough to carry the tale. Enough to make it believable. 17 ships. Let 17 escape. The final battle near Neptune was brief. Earth's 23 ships attacked the remaining 93 Vakresh vessels. They destroyed 76 of them. The last 17 were allowed to run, allowed to jump to FTL speed, allowed to escape. Commander Mayong watched them go on his sensors. Why are we letting them leave? Captain Daejung smiled grimly. Because we are sending a message. They came with 9,700 ships. We are returning 17, just enough for them to tell the story of what happened here. The 17 Vakresh ships fled into deep space. Aboard them, terrified crews tried to understand what had gone wrong. They had been an invincible armada. Now they were survivors of the worst defeat in their empire's history. On Earth, the celebrations were muted. People were too tired, too grief-stricken. They had survived, but the cost was almost too much to bear. Taemin finally made it back to Earth. His sister met him at the landing port in Seoul. She ran to him crying. He held her and remembered all the people who would never have reunions like this. You came back, she said through tears. You kept your promise. I did. And someday I will take you to Mars, when we rebuild it. Dr. Bomb shut down the quantum array, the weapon that should not exist, the device that had helped win the war. She looked at it and felt sick. They had created something terrible to fight something worse. What do we do with this? Asked Minho. We keep it, Bomb said, and we pray we never have to use it again. But if aliens come back, we will be ready. President Kiwu addressed the Earth for the last time as president. He would resign a month later, too tired to continue. But that night he spoke to his people. We lost 174 warships, over 160,000 men and women who served in our fleet. Millions of civilians in outer colonies and stations. We paid a terrible price. But we survived. We showed the galaxy that humanity will not surrender, will not break, will not die quietly. Remember the fallen, honor them, and live the lives they fought to protect. The 17 Vakresh ships arrived at the nearest Imperial outpost weeks later. They broadcast their story, the tale of 9,700 ships that went to conquer primitives, the tale of endless battles, of humans who fought like demons, of weapons that twisted time, of tactics that broke all rules of honorable warfare. The Vakresh Empire listened in shock and horror. They had lost an entire armada to a species they had dismissed as primitive. What do we do? Asked the High Council. The Grand Admiral was old, a veteran of 100 campaigns. He studied the reports, the battle footage, the testimony of survivors. We do nothing, he said finally. Earth has sent us a message. They returned 17 ships so we would know what they are capable of. They could have killed them all. But they showed mercy, and they showed strength. We mark their system as forbidden. We do not go there again. But the dishonor, there is no dishonor in refusing to fight an enemy this dangerous. They defeated us. That is the truth. We accept it and move on. Years passed. Earth rebuilt. New ships were constructed, incorporating captured Vakresh technology. Colonies were restored. The dead were mourned and remembered. Admiral Daijung, promoted after the war, oversaw the construction of a new fleet. Stronger, better prepared. Earth would never be caught defenseless again, Doctor. Bomb continued her research, but now focused on defense and detection. She built sensor networks that could detect approaching fleets light years away, created shield technologies based on Vakresh designs, made Earth into a fortress. Taman became a captain, given command of a new destroyer named Perseverance. He trained young officers, teaching them the lessons.